Mystic has always been a player I've kept my eyes on. He's been in the professional scene for years now, starting with the Jin Air Green Wing Stealths, then switching to the Falcons in spring of 2014. On this team he played with GBM, former mid laner for NRG, and Miso, now known as Phoenix, the mid laner of Gold Coin United and formerly of Team Liquid. Though that team was one of the worst to ever play in the LCK, Mystic was able to find another starting position on a Chinese team, World Elite. Originally on their challenger team, WE Academy, for the winter of 2014, starting in 2015 he became the main roster starting AD carry, and has played there ever since. Only recently, however, have I truly been interested in his performance. While the showing at IEM a few years ago proved that their roster changes might be enough to bring them back to their former glory, Team WE has been in a mid-tier rut for many splits thereafter. Suddenly, in the spring of 2017, at the halfway point of the LPL spring split, WE find themselves tied with EDG in their group for first place, and tied for second overall. With the departure of Deft from China, the power gap for the best Chinese AD carry is now up for contention, with two clear-cut players vying for first place. Uzi, undoubtedly the best Chinese-born AD carry, is currently perched atop his throne at the number 1 spot, but sneaking up over several years is Mystic. Comparing the stats between these two ADCs, their contemporaries, and global leaders paints an interesting picture of a player who has snuck his way into the top of the global ADC bracket. This graph shows data points of AD carry kill per game averages. The blue dots represent top 10 AD carries in the North American, European, and Korean series. The green dots represent all LPL AD carries, barring those who have only played a few games. This orange zone is the limits of the NA, EU, and LCK kill per game averages. Any points above or below this box are outliers, and are more than 3 standard deviations above or below the average number of kills per game. Compared to the global average, the LPL has a few players underperforming, and 2 players overperforming. Uzi, this green dot, has a massive 5.2 kill per game average over 19 games played. Mystic is sitting right behind at 4.7 kills per game over 19 games. The next player with the highest KPG in any other major region is Phoenix One's Arrow, sitting at 4.1, followed by Stixay from CLG, Nuclear from H2K, Bang from SKT, Hansama from Misfits, Sven from G2, Kabi from Splice, Wild Turtle from TSM, Sneaky from C9, and Teddy from Jin Air. Calculating any statistics exclusively from the LPL gets a lot tougher, as many rosters field multiple substitutes in each role. Snake, for example, has 3 AD carries on their roster, Crystal, OQ, and Min, though they sometimes role swap into jungle or support. Other players, like Zhuan P, Zhubin, Endless, Happy, Alone, or LWX, all split time with their substitute players and are thus harder to glean information from. The LPL is also just hitting halfway through their split, with most teams at around 18 or 19 total games played compared to the 30 or more from NA, EU, or Korea. This red box shows the standard zone of kills per game for AD carries in China who have more than 18 games played at this point in the season. Those players are Mystic, Uzi, Zet of Edward Gaming, SMLZ from OMG, Marge from Invictus Gaming, and Imp from LGD. Finally, this purple zone is the global average, including LPL players who have played more than 18 games. Mystic and Uzi are once again pushing the upper limits of this area, and are far and away the leaders in this category. While KPG is an important stat, there are other stats that can be observed to inform players' relative power. Compared against the same samples as before, Mystic sits on the lower end of deaths per game, average in terms of assists per game and CS per minute. Outside of statistical analysis, Mystic has also seen growth in a number of other areas that are much harder to quantify. His teamfight positioning, particularly on his namesake Ezreal, is extremely good, and he plays very confidently when he has lead over his opponent. For a while, his support was Zero, former KT Arrows and Bold support, who moved to China and supported Uzi up in their 2014 World Championship Finals run. Recently, new support Ben has been starting, and the two of them together play smart and calculated lanes all the way through to near immaculate late game teamfighting. People often criticize World Elite for their overall lack of early to mid-game movements, instead leaning towards slowly choking leads out over the course of 50 minutes or so. This season, however, their average game time is just over 37 minutes. Interestingly, their average loss time is around 41 minutes, where their win time is around 35 minutes. In their victories, WE finds a critical area and focuses down until they simply smother their opponent out. Same as always, but this season they're doing it nearly 15 minutes faster than before. In past seasons, it was up to their mid laner GA to do the carrying while Mystic did supplemental damage and former teammates and top laner Aluka and jungler Wushang did the tanking. This season, however, new top laner 957 and jungler Kondi are finding success across the map and setting Mystic up in team fights to carry harder than he ever has before. Between Kondi, GA, Mystic, there are too many players to focus down and prevent from carrying. Mystic, however, has more than 10 fewer deaths than any of the other potential carries on his team, and 28 more kills than GA. With no champions at less than a 50% win rate and multiple other carry threats on his team that demand banning out, Mystic is able to function at a higher capacity this season compared to any season before. The halfway point of the LPL season leaves Team WE at a very advantageous spot in the standings. The real test begins next week as they play against their only threat to Mystic supremacy, Royal Never Give Up and Uzi. It remains to be seen how this matchup will go, and frankly, it's pretty hard to predict. With both teams at the top of the bracket and holding the two strongest AD carries in the league, it'll be an exciting match to decide who truly reigns supreme in the bottom lane.